Hello everybody, my name is Barry Schwartz and this is the Search Buzz video recap. Today is Friday, July 31st and this is the search news we covered over at the Search Engine Roundtable at saroundtable.com. First up, a lot of Panda stuff. So obviously last week Panda 4.2 started rolling out. Nobody believed it, but now they're seeing it. Google said it's one of the slower updates they've done for a Panda rollout. And a lot of questions, why is it so slow? Why is it happening on a page-by-page basis? Why is it happening this way? Why is it so slow? So John Mueller answered some questions this morning in the Google Hangout around 5 o'clock this morning, between 5 and 6 o'clock this morning Eastern. And the main things he said were, one is, it's similar in terms of how Panda rolled out previously, but it's a lot slower. Two, he said it's slower because of technical reasons. He added on to that that it's an internal issue around those technical reasons, and I'm not sure if it's an issue, like a bug, or it's by design, but it's a technical reason why Google is rolling out so slowly. And he said it's specifically not to confuse webmasters or SEOs. It's not, Google's not rolling out slowly so they could say, to try to confuse people, say I'm hit by Panda or I'm not hit by Panda. It's not for that reason. It's specifically for technical reasons, as John Mueller said. More about Panda is that the Panda 4.2 rollout is a global reach. So it's not just US English results, it's across all of Google properties, any language. Google has released Panda updates in the past, which are only specific for English language, only specific for certain regions. Gary from Google said, no, it's rolling out globally, it's not specific to a region or anything like that. Talking about Panda recoveries, is this site, my site, actually is seeing a nice significant Panda recovery. We were hit by Panda 4.1 about 10 months ago, and we actually are seeing a recovery with this one. So you can see here, and I showed you some data last time, but here's some more updated data. You can see, Panda 4.1, and then you see, this is when the Panda algorithm was released on a Saturday, Sunday. You can see, here's the trend line. You can see there's a nice gap, and that gap is increasing over here. I don't know if you could see it all over there, but basically it's a nice increase over there in the corner. There you go. So you can see over here there's a nice increase, and if I slide up, this is basically Panda penalty is the orange line. Blue is the after the Panda penalty, and you can see again the update was here, and you can see that big gap over here in terms of traffic. But this is pre-Panda, so the orange line now is pre-Panda. This is like 12 months ago, where I didn't have a Panda. I still have some way to go to catch up. You see, I have some way to go to catch up to that. So you can see things are actually increasing over time, where the algorithm actually updated and so forth. So things are looking good, at least for my side. And hopefully, if you guys were hit, you actually are seeing a benefit. Obviously, for those that go up, there are sites that go down. Next up is Google's John Mueller said, and there's people who are hit by algorithms, and in the Google Hangout this morning, Google's John Mueller said, we don't tend to give advice for algorithmic issues. He said this in a Hangout this morning around the 4.5-minute mark into the video, and he said, I'm sorry, if there's something obvious, I'll point it out, but in terms of specific issues around why you might have a Panda or Penguin or other search quality algorithm, we tend not to give advice around that. Because sometimes, honestly, I think he didn't say this, but I think sometimes he doesn't know. So there's a new new Google warning that's being issued, a new Search Console warning that's being issued, and Michael Gray actually shared it with me on Twitter, and then tons of people started saying, oh, what's this warning? Basically, Google started issuing out a warning this week saying Googlebot cannot access your CSS and JavaScript files, and it sent out emails to a ton of webmasters. It's a lot less. It's about a lot less than the mobile usability warning they sent out. Gary said it was about, what did he say? He said they sent about 19% of these messages went out compared to the Google mobile usability issue. In any event, if Googlebot cannot access your CSS or JavaScript files, Google sent you a notice via email or Google Search Console, so they want you to take care of that, and obviously Google's been talking about this for a long time. Google offered more advice on how to quickly allow access to those files, and he said just go ahead and add this to your robots.txt file. And John Mueller said that Google only pretty much checks your homepage for these issues, as well as your mobile view. And he also says that Google doesn't look at the third-party embed codes around this, so you don't have to worry about those types of issues. and that's pretty interesting to see. So we have lots of advice around that. If you need it, just check out seroundtable.com. Gary from Google this morning said that Google seems to have indexed their server capacity. So in a response to a tweet from Glenn Gabe, who said, I'm seeing a spike in my index count across many of my clients in the Google index report. And Gary said, it looks like a standard change on our end to the better. We now can index even more URLs everywhere globally. So basically, Google has increased their server capacity, which is, again, something they probably do over and over again constantly because the web is constantly growing. But either way, Google confirmed it. I forgot to mention this before. Google says they won't index dynamic content behind tabs. And what that means is we talked about tab content, hidden content, expandable content. If you click on a tab and then the content loads, Google's saying for many implementations in the Bootstrap area, Google will not index that content. Google will, of course, and we said this in the past, if the content behind those tabs are already loaded in the HTML, Google will know they're hidden and they will weigh that content less. But it's a difference between what they will index versus what they will weigh less. Hopefully that makes sense. Bing answered us around that. Remember last week we reported that the Bing organic traffic seemed to take a dive in the Google Analytics reports, as well as the referrer traffic spiked up. And Bing said that this is likely due to their larger HTTPS rollout where they're encrypting searches. The question is, why in the world would they encrypt and strip out the refer source, saying it's not organic search, and Google actually passes that information. They strip out the keyword data, which is annoying in itself, but Bing is also stripping out the refer source as saying it's organic search instead of saying it's a refer search, which is pretty insane, in my opinion. I think there's some type of technical issue, and hopefully Bing will fix it. But Bing at this point seems to be stripping out the source of the traffic, not just the keyword data, which is well above and beyond what Google has done with their not provided. Google AdWords has updated their quality scores in the reporting engine. It doesn't affect your actual CPCs or rankings, but you should know that if your quality score changed, it's not unusual. They actually updated it this week, so don't be so nervous. It shouldn't change your rankings. Google launched we announced this previously, Google Home Services, where like plumbers or electricians could actually get a listing in Google and pay for a lead. So we actually see screenshots, Dr. Pete and Ginny Marvin from Search Engine Land, and this one is from Search Engine Land. You can see when you just search for San Francisco plumber, you see a bunch of listings, and then when you click on it, it shows you the information. You can actually hit send a request, and when you hit send a request, it would send it to the ones you check off on the ones you check off over here. It would send this lead form to those 3 plumbers, and then they could qualify and back up. So it's pretty cool to see Google doing this. I wonder if it's going to actually something Google's going to stick with or not. It's basically a lead gen system for Google. Google announced this week on AdWords that they actually are doing Google Play ads, AdWords ads in Google Play. Again, this is something we announced, but now it's actually live, so you can actually go ahead and advertise your apps in the Google Play Store using AdWords. Google announced that the Google AdWords Dynamic Search Ad, DSA, is now available worldwide, so you can actually go ahead and take advantage of that as well. Google Maps now will tell you when a store or business or location is busiest. So if you go to it, you'll actually be able to see over here, you can filter on Tuesdays, what the most popular hours, Wednesdays, and so forth. So you can actually know when not to go to the store, and they're actually using crowdsourced data, mobile devices, to figure out when people are there, and then show that information to users going forward. Google hotel price drop alerts are now in Google Now, only for Googlers. This is an internal test that Brian White from Google actually shared. He's like, oh, wow, this is a useful card. He booked a reservation at a hotel. Google Now told him, well, that reservation you booked was actually for X dollars more than actually going for now. You might want to cancel the reservation and rebook it. And he actually did that. Google told us after the fact that this is not live, this is not a public test. This is actually only an internal test being tested at Google, inside Google for Google employees. So we don't even know if it's going to be launched to everybody. Google is turning off their autocomplete API very soon. So basically the autocomplete API is a tool or an API that people could use to get autocomplete results. So as you start typing, it gives you keyword ideas. And a lot of keyword tools use that. I'm not exactly sure how many, but obviously because of that, you got to wonder which keyword tools will be impacted by that. I'm sure they're working to fix those issues and to address them in their keyword tools. Bing is testing an emoji keyboard. This was spotted by Ruben. So if you take a look over here, when you start typing, there's a little emoji, you click that, this keyboard pops up, and then you can actually start typing an emoji. Bing is actually into letting people search for emoji types of characters. I'm not sure how useful that is, but they actually support it. Google said, this is hack month in Google, so there's no hack month in Google. Google said part of that they saw a 180% increase in the number of sites hacked in the past year, which is pretty significant. And finally, Google Plus is no longer required for users on YouTube or to have accounts with Google Plus in order to use different services in Google. First, YouTube is now not requiring it, and other services are no longer required going forward. In any event, it was a pretty fast video that I covered a lot of details. I'm sorry if I went too fast, but I'm in a terrible rush. Anyway, everyone have a great weekend. This is, again, Barry Schwartz. This is the search news we covered over at the Search Engine Roundtable over the past week. Today, again, is Friday, July 31st. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys next. Bye.